everyone. Thanks so much for being here with me.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good
And
morning. And thanks everyone in chat. Amber can't stay very long because she has a lot of plans today, but thanks so much for dropping in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Brandy, it was kind of last minute, but I appreciate you jumping on here.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is definitely a very interesting subject.
Definitely. Thank you, Claire Power, for the gifted memberships. That is so sweet. So this morning I was looking up articles because I wanted to finish the one I was talking about the other day and then move on to another one. But I got to thinking and started making a list of all the ways that Gypstein and Epstein are similar, what they have in common.
Okay.
Here's what I've got so far. So they both got sweet plea deals that no one really totally understands.
Okay.
Mm.
Both claim that some of the worst things they said about their crimes were just role playing.
Oh, wow.
And that was perfectly normal. Both don't like the label pedophile on themselves or other people.
Now what?
Both do not like the label pedophile on themselves or other people. Gypsy said in her Cale Lowry interview, whenever Cale was asking her about Dan Glidewell, she was like, "Oh, so he was 35 and he thought you were 15?" Gypsy says, "Yeah." And Cale goes, "Oh, so a pedophile." And she's like, "I don't like that label."
Yeah, I don't like the
Okay,
labels.
then.
People.
Okay.
We got a lot of similarities there.
I had not heard that interview. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you should take a listen to that one. Yeah. And she also talks about the video where she tells Nick about the 13-year-old. And this is before we had access to it in the FOIA. She's like, "Oh, yeah, he said that. And I broke up with him, called him all kinds of names and blah, blah, blah. And didn't even address really until Cale drug it out of her that she did eventually go ahead and make the video. But yeah, she just wanted to leave it at that. "Oh, yeah, I broke up with him, called him a whole bunch of names. I said, you are never doing that." And then we see the video and she's just sitting there with her whole chest, like, "Well, she's 13.
Right. Well, like I told y'all, that was the one thing for me that was a deal breaker, because they had told us all along she never said it, that it was all Nick, that he was the one that said that. And I'd ask her and Christy both, "You promise you never said this?" "No, I never did. And I broke up with him and blah, blah, blah." And that's not what we saw in that video. So yeah.
And that was the story she was telling on Cale Lowry
Mhm.
before this FOIA came out.
Yeah.
Was that, she broke up with him. And we've not seen any evidence of her breaking up with him. We just see evidence of her sitting there being like, "When she's 7, that'll be too young. When she's 13, I will explain to her that you're going to take her fee."
And you guys have not run across anything yet that shows Nick telling her she had to make the video, right?
Nope.
No, we looked for it specifically, but maybe it'll turn up, but we can't find it.
That's what somebody had said to me. They're not going to show that. And I said, well, I mean, they say that if they find it, they're going to show it. They're showing all sides of it.
I promise if I find something like that, I will definitely show it. I have
And
no
so that's been the
agenda.
argument I've had. And they're like, "Well, but you're not in the files." I was like, "No, but I trust them. I trust that they're going to be honest with what they're finding. They have so far." So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bree said that we weren't going to put out any videos of Nick acting weird, and we went over the Chenier, and we went over the, I'm lowering my voice because this is your master speaking, dear. And I understand that it's
And his
weird.
videos are hard to watch, and not because they're scary. It's just because he's hard for me because I'm deaf in one ear. So the hearing part of it, he's got that tone that is hard for me to understand. But he's also, I start going off in other places. I just can't keep up.
He's monotone.
Yeah, I just
feel like if he was actually scary, we could stay awake and pay attention.
Right, there would be something in the voice that would have you going, "Oh, what is he saying now? Oh, wow, ooh," but that's not it at all. Like, it's just so monotone.
Yeah, you're more like, when is this over?
Right, or I'm like, "Oh, wait, did I just nap for a second?"
Yeah.
Like, it just, and I'm not being ugly to Nick. Y'all don't think that. It's just, I can't. And when I hear y'all say that, I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that just can't follow.
Yeah, I get it completely. It is weird to me too that the only time with all the stuff that we saw Nick talking about, the only time we saw him actually showing like real excited, happy emotion is when he was lip syncing that song.
Yeah. Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, happy emotion, and then the other emotion was just frustration with Gypsy.
Yeah, constant frustration.
Mhm.
I can't blame him.
I can't either.
Yeah, Anonymous Mystic, everybody's putting out a ton of information. Amber's putting out everything, sometimes before she even has time to present it herself, just like, "Well, I've made sure that there's nothing that needs to be redacted in here and throw it up on the drive." So, like, and other people have gotten the FOIAs and they're throwing them up. So if we are just absolutely missing it, surely someone will find it if it exists. If Nick
And
Porter knew to do it.
the only advice I can give to anybody is somebody who was a supporter who isn't a supporter, who was, I guess y'all would call a frontline supporter. Like I took hits for them. And that's how I'm known, as Christy's friend and all that. And,
Yeah.
and of course, through the name that won't be named. But when people do start listening from the other side and turning, people be a little bit easier on them.
Mhm.
Because I will tell you, I've had a few say, "Well, we saw how people kinda came at you, and I'm not gonna say anything publicly." So people who are starting to see things, they're not gonna be as vocal about what they're seeing and the fact that they no longer support Gypsy because they're getting attacked, or they see people getting attacked
Mhm.
and are shamed because we didn't believe in the beginning, and like I've always said, "Show me the proof. Where's the actual proof? I'm not taking an opinion, I want the proof. You guys showed
Mhm.
the proof. That's what I needed."
Yeah,
And
and it is important to allow people to change. I've been really grateful that people have been easy on me because I took a super hard line on Dee Dee for a very, very long time. And this latest FOIA showed that some of the things that I was saying, like, no matter what, this is clear, absolute proof of Dee Dee being weird to Gypsy, like making her be like a little girl and stuff. Well, now we know that dressing like a little girl, acting like a little girl, baby talking, pretending to be way younger is Gypsy's kink.
It was
Mhm.
her
She
thing.
wanted to continue that with Nick. She tried continuing it as much as she could through emails in prison, like, yeah, so and people have been really, gentle with me about that. The people who were saying a year ago that that wasn't Dee Dee, that that was Gypsy, and I didn't see anything that proved that to me, now I have.
Right, right, and you see things a lot the same way I do, is we have to have the proof. Like,
Mhm.
give us proof, that disputes what we think and shows facts. And, because 'cause I'm not a conspiracy person, I it gives me anxiety. So I want facts. I want, black and white facts, and that's what's helped me. Thank you guys all again, everybody. You guys, Becca, um Straight Outta Context, they've been putting some good stuff out that's really good factual information for people to see, and y'all have been putting the work in, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And yes, all those people have been doing great too. Everyone's just been doing awesome. So about Epstein, it's been really interesting going through this stuff because I'm like, man, everything Gypsy said, she would have loved an opportunity to be his Ghislaine or someone like him's Ghislaine.
Totally.
And it's so crazy how the way that the way that Gypsy talked about things in her videos, it's like, wow, whether these people have $1 billion or, 11,000 stashed away, they act the same.
Mhm. Yeah, they do. It's interesting how, some things are just similar across the board no matter what.
Yep, for sure. Misbehaving says, does anyone know what a vampire kiss is in text? It's like they use like the greater or less than signs, I think, so that they look like teeth. Something like that. Oh, someone's asking who Brandy is on panel. Brandy, Uncorked with Brandy used to be her name. She worked with Fancy at one point. They kind of had a back and forth relationship. And she worked with the Blanchards at one point and started backing off from them. And then this last round of FOIAs really opened her eyes and she wants to continue learning more. So
Mhm.
we appreciate having Brandy here talking with us.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, hey, Lulu. I'm sure Lulu's busy. I'd love to have her on panel too, but afternoons and daytimes are hard for her. All right, let me and one correction from yesterday. Someone asked whether or not Robert Maxwell was ever able to actually get in with the royal family. Was that you, Amber?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I said I didn't think so, that I thought he'd tried, but was only able to get in with, like, more minor royals like Prince Andrew and stuff. Well, I found pictures that he did actually meet the queen.
That's disappointing.
Wow.
Yeah, here is him and Ghislaine meeting the queen in 1983.
I'd have been 4 years old.
I was just a little bitty one.
Oh, wow. She
Wow.
looks the same.
Ghislaine, yeah, it's wild how Ghislaine looks the same always.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I find
Has
that
she found, like, the no aging pill that doesn't let her age? Like, what the hell?
she seemed to, yeah.
That was in, what you say, 83?
Yeah,
Yep, 83, right there on the bottom
1983.
of the picture. Wow.
Her dad looks like, Robert De Niro there.
And her dad
Oh,
was
yeah, he
actually
does.
I was shocked to see him young. He was really handsome young.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd only seen him older like this. Let me find this picture of him and his wife when they were young. He really does look like kinda like a movie star. Reminds me of, oh crap, who was that dude in, Gone with the Wind?
Rhett Butler?
Yes.
Oh, when he was younger.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was like, not in that picture.
Amber had that look like,
No.
huh?
No, look at him here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, he
Okay.
does.
Or
Are they
Errol
Clark
related
Flynn.
or something?
Gable. Yes, thank you. Clark Gable was his real name. Yeah, Rhett Butler, it was the actor that played him was Clark Gable. But yeah, like Robert Maxwell Young kinda reminds me of Clark Gable.
I wonder
Mhm.
if could they be related distantly maybe?
Who knows? I mean, Robert Maxwell's life is wild. I'm gonna read a little bit about it. It's, like, nuts. I what he was known for, publishing and being a spy and KBG, but no, Maxwell House Coffee, from what I can tell, wasn't theirs unless I end up learning some more obscure information because that happens.
Yeah, the Folgers heiress was actually killed, by Manson.
Manson, yeah.
Mhm.
She was
That's right.
there with, Sharon Tate.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, so where we left off yesterday, I was reading this Vanity Fair article called The Sinking of Captain Bob, and we had just got to a part here where they were talking about his kids. And it says it was worse for the children. And Maxwell would get Kevin on the speakerphone in front of everyone else. He'd scream at him and berate him using the foulest language. No one can understand the enormous pressure he put his sons under, said Nick Davies, who was fired last fall as foreign editor of the Daily Mirror when he was accused of running guns for Israel, a charge he denied. Daily Mirror was the newspaper that Robert Maxwell owned.
Mhm.
He bullied them, he castigated them, he told them they were no good, to fuck off. When he said sign, they signed. His sons were in mortal fear of their father, said Maxwell biographer. Um, Mike Molly, editor of the Mirror, used to have a 7-card stud game at the office after work. It started 11 o'clock at night. Ian joined in. We proceeded to take a lot of money off Ian. He lost all his money and had to write a check. Please don't tell my father. I don't want him to know about this, Ian told us. He couldn't be seen by his father as a loser. They were the Maxwells, and the boys had to live up to the image.
Mm.
And then it starts talking about Robert Maxwell's girlfriend, his mistress.
Mhm.
It says let me let the kitten out real quick. He's crying at the door.
I thought I heard a meow, but then I thought it was mine.
Little Johnny decided he was out of the office. Okay, the children, Ian, Kevin, and Ghislaine, were born within 5 years of one another, played together as children, remained very close, and their bond was strengthened by their mutual hatred of Jean Badley, the woman who for more than 20 years was closest to their father. Until the mid-80s, Jean Badley was Maxwell's personal assistant, office manager, and traveling companion. She totally sacrificed herself to Maxwell, said Nick Davies. She was hated for it by the children of his marriage because they felt this woman was taking away their father. I cannot overstate his personal control of his children, but the boys didn't really know what was going on. Until about a year ago, Bob had compartmentalized his family. But when he perceived that everything was falling apart, he did what desperate men do, anything to stay alive. And says, the hardest one hit by his death was Ghislaine, who recently turned 30. I visited her in a New York apartment shortly before Christmas. She was dressed in a pair of jeans, a loose shirt, no makeup. The floor was strewn with newspaper clippings about her father. Hundreds of letters of condolence lay on her desk, along with boxes of cards of acknowledgement waiting to be sent in reply. I didn't recognize Ghislaine Maxwell and the young woman her friends described to me, the racy, glamorous, social flibbertigibbet whom George Hamilton had escorted to the ever-ready Derby in England and skied with in Aspen, and who had attended the Kerry Kennedy Andrew Cuomo wedding, once instructed her father's pilot to put his helicopter into a free fall to scare her fellow passenger. He wasn't a crook, she told me. A thief, to me, is someone who steals money. Do I think my father did that? No. I don't know what he did. Obviously, something happened. Did he put it in his own pocket? Did he run off with the money? No. And that's my definition of a crook.
Wow.
That is some cope talk if I ever heard any.
So
Holy hell.
the Cuomo name. Cuomo, he is also, isn't
Governor of New
that
York.
yes, and
Or was.
his brother is a news anchor.
Yes.
Yeah, he got
Mhm.
fired from CNN for sticking up for his brother.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so
and he was
Chris
with Good Morning
Cuomo.
America. Years ago, he was with Good Morning America, and then he went over to CNN.
Mhm.
Yeah, Chris Cuomo is the anchor. Andrew Cuomo, the one that Ghislaine went to his wedding, he was the New York governor, I believe, or
Mhm.
mayor, something like that. And he got in trouble for sexual harassment of employees.
Mhm.
And
And
there's a
that's
lot of rumors along with their family being kind of like the rest of them. Like, it's just leave it there.
Well, wasn't their dad the governor as well, or
Uh, uh, he was something, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yep. Yeah, and this Mary Kelly brings up a good point here because we were reading yesterday Robert Maxwell's wife, the widow,
Yeah.
and she kept saying, "Oh, he was a pirate. He was this and that, but not a
Yeah.
crook." Like
Pirate.
pirate is somehow upstanding. Yep, for sure. Then it says, Gillian says, I'm surviving just, but I can't just die quietly in a corner. I have to believe that something good will come out of this mess. It's sad for my mother. It's sad to have lost my dad. It's sad for my brothers, but I would say we'll be back. Watch this space.
She came back with a vengeance.
Yeah. So, and it's really, really hard to find out exactly when Jeffrey and Ghislaine met, but a lot of sources and weirdly articles have the photos that they're referencing deleted, like somebody went through threatening them or something. But there's a lot of articles that say that Jeffrey and Ghislaine met in 1990 before Maxwell's death.
Well, it would seem like that because yesterday we were talking about how Jeffrey kind of filled in for him. And the way that the article was going yesterday, I assumed that they had met before he died.
Yeah. Yeah, all the articles sound like it, but everyone I find that has, like, a photo reference of them together before, it says, "Media has been removed," or something like that, where the photo was.
Hmm.
So, hopefully, it's out there if any of you find it. Yes, Miss Anonymous, this is something I saw. So, there's an article that talks about these notes that are part of the Epstein files, and it looks like Jeffrey had Ghislaine write stuff about their time together and their character references to use in his trial where he got that first sweetheart deal, where he got to, like, in 2007 or whenever that was, when he got prison time, but he only had to, like, stay overnight. He went back home during the day and, like, everything was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm gonna make a note of that. That is another area where Gypstein and Epstein overlap, because Gypsy wrote in her book about how when she was trying to arrange things with her Nick relationship, that she, wanted to try to create it in a way so that she could bake details into the narrative that everyone would feel comfortable with. Her mom and everyone. And it's like, bake details into the narrative. I never even would have thought of a phrase like that, because I'm
Me
not a
either.
pathological liar.
Me either. That's
But
really
these
weird.
character references, they said that it, in the article that I was reading, said that it seemed like Ghislaine and Jeffrey were trying to basically bake details into a narrative to conceal their actual origins and things like that.
Hmm.
And then they presented those in a deposition.
There's a lot of mysterious people around. I've come across a few myself.
I would use the word weird, but you know.
I'm just saying people that you don't really know much about them. They just come out of nowhere and their past is anonymous, basically.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And speaking of that, so the next essay I wanted to share, it's called Ghislaine Maxwell, Privilege, Power, and Perversion. And it goes really deep into her dad's history. And that's what I was saying, where I was saying it is literally stranger than fiction. Like, you wouldn't, if you wrote a fictional novel about a character like Bob Maxwell, editors would be like, that's just unbelievable. Like, no one's going to actually think someone would be able to do all that.
Yeah, but truth is stranger than fiction most of the time.
Almost always, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. That way I don't interrupt you guys. But thank
No
you for
problem.
letting me come up, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. It's my birthday.
Happy
Or-
birthday.
Yeah, you're
Happy
welcome.
birthday.
Thank you.
What, 25 and holding, right?
47.
No, don't give it. Hey, you don't look 47, but don't give your age away.
Laura got me some
All any of us knew was that she was over 21.
So, anyways, I'm going to go celebrate and do something very interesting, I think. So, I hope everybody has a very blessed day.
You too.
Hope
Be
you
safe.
do too. Happy birthday.
Okay, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay. I hope she has a fun day.
Me too. Hopefully, it's not too bad where she's at. We're frozen
Yeah,
here.
I think she said they had like 6 inches of snow or something like that.
Well, but I guess y'all are used to that up there, huh?
Not really. Missouri doesn't, like, Missouri gets it more than I do here in Southern Oklahoma, but like still not as much as you'd think. And when I lived in St. Louis, I was there for almost 10 years, and we got snow like once a year, and it lasted about a day and a half, and everything shut down, and everybody goes to Art Hill by the Art Museum to sled.
See, that would be fun to me, but we don't get when it does snow here, it melts, it turns into ice. And like last year, we actually got like 4 inches, 4.5 inches is what I measured at my place, and it lasted for days. And that's unusual for us. We just don't like we're all shut down
Yeah.
now. Like we've had power outages and it's the school shut down today because we had ice. So I mean, it's been in the 20s, and that's just, us Texans don't do winter.
Laura just corrected me. She said it's more than a foot of snow.
Oh wow.
Yep.
See, I love
Yeah,
snow, but I don't like to
I've
keep
barely
it.
got 2 inches. Do what, Brandy?
I love snow, but I don't want it all the time. Like, I like to have it for a little bit, and then I want it gone. To me, snow
Yeah.
makes winter worthwhile, but then again, when you're doing a farm, it's not fun. So,
Yeah, Laura, the hill by the art museum, you slide down into Forest Park, and like the frozen pond with all the fountains is there and stuff. It's so cool. Like, sledding on Art Hill is 100% a St. Louis tradition. It's like, a lot of people from the north. I'm not saying St. Louis is south, it's not, but from, the actual north where winter is normal and constant during the winter season, they move down to St. Louis, and they'd be shocked how everything just shuts down when it snows those few days. And they're like, "But you can make it to Art Hill to sled. You can make it to work." And I'm like, "Shush. This is an ancient agreement. The magic was written centuries ago. We don't want to go to work in this.
Right?
Oh, man. But, yeah, so anyway, I can't seem to make this article bigger where it can be read on screen, so I apologize if anyone wanted to read along. But here it is. It says, "To understand Ghislaine, you have to start with a father." Despite becoming infamous as a British socialite, Ghislaine Maxwell was born on Christmas Day, 1961, in Maison Lafitte, France, as were her other 8 siblings, because her mother, Elizabeth, was French and wanted her children to have that nationality and valuable passport, as well as their UK citizenship. Her mom was so rude about the British people. After Robert Maxwell stole all of those British employees' pensions, um, her mom, his widow, in a interview kept talking about, "Oh, those Brits, they're so ungrateful and they would just do anything to him." And it's like, he stole their retirement.
Wow.
Good lord. Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, was not a natural born Englishman either. And in order to understand Ghislaine, it is essential to understand her father, an impoverished immigrant who became a British newspaper magnate and who always felt like an outsider. Or as Maxwell's chief of staff, Peter Jay, who had once been the UK ambassador to the United States, described him, "I always used to think of him as like a great prehistoric animal, uncivilized, gross, dangerous, clumsy, and very unhouse trained."
Mm.
Ghislaine was the animal's favorite offspring, as he would describe her to his Daily Mirror editor at the time, as the child most like me. And Ghislaine reveled in being a daddy's girl, a coveted position that would inform her entire life and the choices she would eventually make in the men who would take daddy's place. But growing up, her father was a shapeshifter, and his story, like Ghislaine's, is filled with drama, mystery, and corruption. When his While his ended in disgrace and a mysterious death, she is gambling on a happy ending. This is before she got convicted. But her current position, sitting in a Brooklyn jail cell awaiting sentencing after a conviction of sex charges against minors, awaiting decision on a retrial and pondering whether to sing the secrets of elites to the feds. Her future is far from bright. Uh, Here it says Robert Maxwell did not start life as an Englishman, but instead as a boy whose epic beginnings landed him on the shores of England in May 1940, having been evacuated from the beaches of Dunkirk with his fellow Czech soldiers in retreat from the advancing Nazis. In fact, Maxwell had been in retreat from the Nazis for 2 years after fleeing his desperately poor town and family in 1938 at the age of 15 at his mother's urging. If anyone was going to make something of themselves, it was her eldest son, who was not yet known to the world as Robert. He was born June 10th, 1923. Someone pointed out he was born on Dee Dee's death date. Isn't that weird?
Oh, that is weird.
To an Orthodox Jewish family in the village of Slatinsky Doli in what would become the easternmost province of pre-World War II Czechoslovakia. Today, Saltonio, Ukraine. I'm sure I'm butchering those names, y'all. I apologize. And his name at birth was Abraham Liebhock. The family name Hawk had been given to them by a German speaking census taker in the early 20th century who understood neither Yiddish nor Hebrew, the languages of the village, and couldn't understand the family's real surname. So he called them Hawk, which was German for tall. In 1919, the family's name changed again when the village was absorbed into Czechoslovakia and the Hawks ceased to exist. They were now known as the Ludvigs. And in this new nation, stoked by nationalist fervor and surrounded by anti Semites, Hannah and Mikhail Ludwig added Jen to their son's name. He was now known as Jan Abraham Ludwig, probably John, but it's spelled with an A.
Yeah, I think they spelled that as John with an A.
Gotcha. It says Maxwell's father, Mikkel, was a giant of a man and good-natured. His mother, Hannah, was of higher class, literate, intelligent, a passionate believer in social justice due to her impoverished status based on her religion. She was also a Zionist, and so too was her son, John Abraham. Their company was in the county of Marmures in Carpatho-Ruthenia in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, noted for its salt mines and for its hardscrabble life. A Jewish proverb has it thus: 10 measures of poverty were given to the world, and 9 of them were taken by the Marmures. So very, very, very poor.
Well, and a lot of Czechoslovakia is poor.
Mhm.
When we were in Germany, I got to take a day trip over there to go shopping. And it's like frozen in time. This was in the 90s, early 90s, and it's almost frozen in time, it seems like they still have cobblestone roads. The buildings are still very what you would see in like in the 20s, the old school brick.
Oh, that's so cool. That's one
It
of my
is
places I wanna go so bad is
Oh, it was
Czechoslovakia.
amazing. Like, it was so cool to see. I've got some cool pictures of, like, the churches have these angels that go over the streets,
Uh-huh.
and some of the churches still have, like, gold inside of them. It's just beautiful. It's so but it's frozen in time, like, just it
Yeah.
definitely go. If you get a chance, go. It was probably one of my most favorite trips to take, and I wish we'd had social media and cell phones back then, because then you get
Right?
the cool pictures, but
Yep. Yeah,
yeah.
one of my subscribers, I don't see her in here right now, but she is from the former Czech Republic, born there and raised there, and she's got the coolest stories. It's really awesome.
I truly I paid in, like in the 90s, this was a lot of money. I paid $50 for my day trip, and
Mhm.
we were in the military, and you take a bus, and of course, it's all Americans on the bus, and you go over, and that way they can assure you can or you're allowed to go in and out, and, like, literally, I bought a complete crystal decanter set that was probably worth about $600, and I paid 20 bucks for it.
Oh, how
And,
cool.
like, you could
Mhm.
get lace and these beautiful lace tablecloths that they hand make. Oh my god, they were just gorgeous. Like, china was they weighed china,
Uh-huh.
by the ounce, and that's how you pay for it, and it just, it was so cool. It was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, I bet. And yes, Cheeky Koala, it was part of the, uh, Soviet communist countries, right, Brandy? It
Mhm.
changed so
Yes.
much, I was having a hard time remembering.
Yes.
Okay. So in the article here, it says, I think the experience of extreme poverty, really, really grinding total poverty scarred him for life. He had to have money and he had to have it in ways which removed it from his mind. But I don't think he ever successfully did remove it. The newspapers stuffed into Maxwell and his siblings' shoes are what Maxwell's politically astute mother read and which shaped her views and his. She taught Maxwell to read and taught him about his Jewish faith. Maxwell later said, whether true or not, as he was a master of juggling reality, sounds like someone else we talk about, that she hoped he would become a great rabbi. Again, that's another similarity. Gypsy Kip always says that Dee Dee wanted her to be a nun. And I do know that Dee Dee did say that to people.
These similarities are almost scary.
They really are. It's like, wow, it's like you read about this certain type of people, and it doesn't matter the difference in their backgrounds or their financial status. They're just similar. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's crazy.
I'd like to see somebody do a deep study on the psychological side of things like that.
Yeah. It says in 1938, the Sudetenland, the German speaking part of Czechoslovakia, was not at all friendly to the Jews, now being in Nazi hands. And the following year, the entire country was occupied by a regime determined to make Europe Juden free. So, Robert Maxwell, 15 years old, but tall and robust and easily passing for 20, was encouraged by his father and mother with the parting words of, if you are ambitious, there is nothing that is impossible. And so he bid farewell to his impoverished village and traveled to Budapest, where he joined the French underground who were smuggling Czech volunteers into Western Europe. In December 1939, he was arrested as a spy, but escaped from the one armed guard responsible for him, or in another Maxwell version, beat his fascist guard to death, and fled to Istanbul. He wound up in Syria and joined the French Foreign Legion. And in March 1940, his unit was shipped back to France just in time to see the country fall to the Germans. To stay in France as a Jewish Czech soldier meant certain death. Maxwell's Czech unit was riddled with anti Semitism. Of the 4,000 Czechs who were to be evacuated to Britain, many Jewish soldiers were left behind to their awful fate. By the time Maxwell arrived in Liverpool, he and his fellow Czech soldiers had denounced their officers for cowardice and anti Semitism. The British commander asked all Czech soldiers who felt that way to step forward. Maxwell and 538 of his fellow soldiers did so and were promptly arrested, discharged from the Czech army, and put in a British prison camp. When I say that no one would believe this story is fiction, right?
Right, right.
Like, just crazy. Mary Kelly, I know from my friends who were Dee Dee's neighbors back in Aurora, they said Dee Dee spoke a lot about Gypsy wanting to be a nun and her wanting Gypsy to be a nun. And then also we saw it in the Facebook post that were Dee Dee's, of talking about Gyp wanting to be a nun. And then Gypsy said in her book in 2024 that at one point she herself did want to be a nun. So I don't think Dee Dee was actually lying there. I think Gypsy was just so confused and lied so much and made up so many stories that like no one around her could repeat anything she said and have it actually be truth.
Right. I think she's just truly pathological, and pathological liars truly believe what they're telling you.
Right. Yep. It says to get out of prison camp, Maxwell volunteered for ditch digging duty with the Pioneer Corps. He used a pick and shovel in England and Wales and had his first love affair with a nurse. He was 19, she was upper class, and their relationship lasted 2 years. Her family accepted him as a guest to their home, and he quickly learned the manners and ways of an upper class Englishman. The nurse later recalled Maxwell as enchanting, fascinating, and infuriating. His character was mercurial, most exuberant, but sometimes deeply melancholic. At times he appeared almost illiterate, but at others he displayed such a breadth and depth of knowledge that he might have lived 100 years. No one who knew him could ever forget him. Says the
Hmm.
handsome Stratton Maxwell, a serial ladies' man who was rarely loyal for long, also had a romantic affair with a local army widow who had military connections, which were useful, as Maxwell wanted to get back in the fight against the Nazis. He joined the 6th Battalion of the North Staffordshire Regiment and returned to France in the second wave of, of D-Day landings. At this point, he changed his identity once again, appropriating a much more romantic moniker, Leslie du Maurier, his surname snatched from that of a popular cigarette brand. And to any of our French speakers, let me know how to really pronounce that if I got it all wrong.
Where's it at? I'm trying to look at it. It's so little.
Yeah. Um, he became a sergeant in charge of a sniper unit, was recommended for a battlefield commission, but was turned down as unsuitable officer material, possibly because he was a foreigner, ironically, the kind the British Army was fighting to save. According to Maxwell biographer Tom Bauer, Maxwell responded to this insult with uncommon bravery by knocking out a tank, capturing 100 German prisoners, and leading an attack against the 12th SS Panzer Division. He won his officer promotion shortly after his 21st birthday and officially became a very British sounding lieutenant named Ian Robert Maxwell. It was another name he co opted from Commerce after watching the Maxwell House coffee commercial and chose it to blend seamlessly into British society. Maxwell's whole objective was to be an insider and make money, said Bauer. Okay, that's why people were thinking that he was related to Maxwell House Coffee
Yeah,
because
because it's
his
that
name.
there. Yep.
Yeah, and the name Ian Robert Maxwell is related in its entirety to Maxwell House Coffee. Yep, once again, changing of identities, multiple personalities. Like I said, these people are just the same. Yes, she has. So wild. It says the identity changed provided the Brits with an aha moment as they saw other uses for this handsome multilingual Czech. Their initial plan was to parachute him behind enemy lines, a mission with a depressingly low survival rate, but they changed their minds and sent Maxwell to Paris, posing as a Czech black marketeer, selling forged documents to Nazis who had gone into hiding. Maxwell was exceptional at deception, and his success got him on the radar of Britain's MI6, the country's foreign espionage service. Espionage would become part of Maxwell's repertoire for the rest of his life, something he may have passed on to Ghislaine. After the war, Maxwell was posted to Berlin, which proved to be his launching point as both a businessman and a spy. What is so interesting in his early life, post war Berlin in 1935, said Bauer, was that he was working for the British as a British officer, but also made links with Russian intelligence service on the other side of the divided city of Berlin and became a Russian spy too. Maxwell did not just limit himself to spying, but saw in the ruins of Germany a future of his success as a shady publisher. He was a big black marketer in Berlin after the Second World War, but he also managed to steal one of the biggest scientific publishing companies' assets and bring them back to Britain, the Springer Publishing House, which was the foundation of his business. But what he did, which was very clever of his, was that he did it with the help of the British intelligence. British intelligence officers wanted the German scientific secrets as Maxwell helped him and at the time took the publishing arm of those assets for his own personal profit. So, like I was explaining yesterday, a lot of us know people who have friends who are scientists at different levels, of the scientific research hierarchy. But almost all of them at some point have complained about how, in order to have your research peer reviewed, you have to pay a crap ton in order to be published in a scientific journal. And then
Mhm.
your peers that have to review it also have to pay a crap ton to purchase the journal. That is a money funnel that Robert Maxwell created for himself when he took science out of Germany because the Germans were sanctioned and not allowed to sell their assets anymore.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't have my camera on today because I didn't feel like doing my makeup. I started to say I didn't have time, but I had to correct myself and be honest. I just didn't feel like doing it.
I
But
didn't have time, so
yeah. But, I showed yesterday, I bought a 1968 version of one of his, it's called Man Alive, a current affair annuals for schools and colleges. Keith Hindle and Robert Maxwell, MC and MP. And almost all major universities around the world felt compelled to have a subscription to these because of the information, the science in there.
So are we thinking I'm gonna have to brainstorm on this. Are we thinking that what's in the science journals may not be the best information since they're having to buy their way into it?
Honestly, it probably still is good information, but it has been set up in such a way that there's probably a lot of good information being suppressed by scientists who don't have the
That kind
capabilities
of
to buy
money, right.
into the peer review.
Huh.
And then that feeds into the fact that it seems like Epstein is Maxwell 2.0 and Ghislaine helped him be, because a lot of people have wondered, like, why was Epstein so into science research and scientists and stuff like that?
Mhm.
He would invest in them and, give big grants and stuff like that, and then occasionally, not very often, mostly it seems like he would just kinda let let them do their own thing, but then occasionally he would start asking them questions about some of his weird ideas, like, Epstein had this thing where he wanted to repopulate the Earth with his seed or something like that.
Ew.
Yeah, and, like,
Ew.
engineer geniuses and stuff, like, it was super weird, and it was very eugenics-like, which, is something that the Nazis researched,
Oh,
and so he
man.
would start asking these scientists after he, just generously gave them grants and stuff like that, flew him out to his island for a good time and all this stuff, to just, ask little innocent, curious questions. "I've heard about this crazy conspiracy theory. What do you think?" And sometimes because of the money he'd given them, it would influence them to take it seriously and look into it because, like, they don't wanna lose their grants. That's hard to get.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another thing Epstein and Robert Maxwell both did is they would always play both sides of politics, and science is kind of like a batting ball for politics, you know?
Mhm. Right.
It seems to go in waves, like, there'll be a decade or 2 where one side is saying all science is wrong and bad, and the other side saying you've gotta believe science. Then there'll be another decade where the others both sides are saying all science is good, but our science is right and theirs is wrong, and the other's saying the
Well,
same thing.
they definitely used that during the pandemic
Yeah,
to
and,
confuse
so
people.
right. And so something Epstein was clearly doing in his emails is there was this one lady who was really high up in the Obama administration, Kathy Rummler. She was very friendly with him, just emailing constantly, telling jokes, talking about having lunch and this and that. And she totally thought that Epstein was 100% on her side as a Democratic liberal. And that's why he donated to the science funding that he did and stuff. And Epstein would say, things that made her believe that. But they didn't know, and we know now, He was emailing Steve Bannon at the same time and advising Steve Bannon on how to help Trump
Mm.
at the exact same time. It's like he didn't actually give a shit, and I don't think Robert Maxwell did either, about any of the ideals of either side of politics or the
Mhm.
belief of different science research. And all he cared about was, and he said this in one email, all he cared about was trying to make sure that the masses of eyes didn't get turned on him too much so as to want to take his money away. Like they
Mm.
tried he would try him and Robert Maxwell would both try and engineer the masses of people. By Robert did it by he published the only left-leaning magazine in Britain at the time,
Mhm.
while in the background giving money to right-leaning politicians.
Wow.
Because the conflict of the 2 brought money into his pockets continuously in the selling of the newspapers.
On these people.
Right, yeah, he didn't give a shit either way.
He just wanted money.
He
He
would tell
didn't
people he
care.
did.
Right. Just pay me. I don't care what you believe. I'm just
Yeah. And Epstein, like, it's so obvious. So these, programmers took the emails from his files and made a website called Jmail, where it's set up like Gmail, but it's all of Jeffrey Epstein's emails where you could easily search them and read them in a more digestible format.
Mhm.
And so you could search all of his emails, and I was reading all of his emails with these different people, and it's so wild. Like everyone he emailed with absolutely believed that he believed everything that they believed and was going to help them with his money. And he was playing every single side,
God. All about the money. Every bit of it's about the money.
every single bit. Just wild. Yeah. And then like the rest of it going on here about the Maxwells, like Ghislaine has never ever lived in any kind of normal environment, always in massive Epstein style mansions. So she was probably in the same way as Robert Maxwell used his wife to learn how to be more cultured.
Mhm.
Uh, I think Jeffrey used Ghislaine to learn how to be more cultured,
Oh, yeah, that
how to act around British royalty and stuff like
yeah.
that. You know, she was meeting the Queen in 1983. She
How
played
to
as
be
transgender.
something you're not pretty much.
Yeah. Yep. So she would have been very useful. And then Robert Maxwell and Jeffrey are the way that they are similar is just wild. So this article from 1994 is called The Beast and His Beauties. Robert Maxwell mesmerized and bullied women, but Betty, his wife for nearly 50 years, remained loyal. Her autobiography will be her first public breach of that loyalty, and I'm getting a copy of that autobiography on the way.
Is it already out?
Yeah, this it came out in 1994.
Oh, okay. I mean, curious to see what it says.
I am too, because I'm sure, just like Gypsy's autobiography is going to be full of a lot of lies, but
Right.
the lies people tell about themselves usually reveal what they're trying to hide. You know what I mean? He's seen me deep in research for years now on different random things that catch my attention.
It sounds kinda like my husband. My husband just goes, "Don't get her started."
So yeah, the article starts out by this. It says, "How was it possible for one body, even one made of flesh as massive as Robert Maxwell's, to contain two such different personalities? When it came to women, and Maxwell often did, he came in two fairy tale varieties, Prince Charming and Monster." So now we got Disney references.
I'm just sitting here going, we've got Gypsy over there calling Nick Prince Charming and Munster all at the same time. So
Yeah, the multiple personalities, like
Yep.
it says Maxwell's crudeness was so extreme that he would sometimes leave the lavatory door open contemptuously in his private office suite so that anxious female visitors were greeted by the explosions of his mighty digestive system.
This is crazy.
Not exactly a King Charming there.
No.
And that's such a, like, control thing, like, to force someone to watch you poop, like, nobody wants that, like, those people are employees, they're not there for some weird fetish, like, that just seems like such a disgusting control tactic, you
Right,
know?
that is gross.
Give me just a second, I'm gonna take a break from reading real quick to roll myself a smoke. Did you guys see Dawn's video making fun of Gypsy? I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Dawn's made some hilarious ones lately.
Oh,
She
yeah, she
cracked me
has.
up. Claire, going back to your statement, yeah, it's been very frustrating, and it goes back years with Christy on the making friends with people she shouldn't, which was my original fight with her back in 2019, and in the PR thing 2 years ago, and then the stuff with Case. I mean, it's her MO. She makes friends with people that are against Gypsy because, in my opinion, I can't prove this other than my own experience and what I believe in is that she thinks she can it's one of two things. She either truly hates Gypsy and she's trying to sabotage things, or she's trying to use them to convince them to be on Gypsy's side or for the numbers. I know that that was what she was doing with Natasha, and Natasha caught on to it and called him out. So it's just, I don't understand it. And when all that went down with Case, I text her and she's like, I know, I promised you that I wouldn't do that again. And, I'll wait for you to come on to cut off and kick my ass. I'll have a bottle of wine. Because I told her I was going to kick her ass if she ever did it again. And she did it again. So
It really feels sometimes like she is trying to low-key sabotage Gypsy out of jealousy, but not want to actually own that.
right. Right. And that's been what I've always kind of suspected. I don't know. It's just none of it makes sense. I've never understood the relationships that she forms. But listening to the clip that Becca played where she compares Dee Dee to Lacey Spears made me sick.
Oh, I guess I've heard that.
Yeah, it was just the other night on they were on panel, and I think it was the same live where they kind of were going at Aubrey, and I didn't hear the person they didn't have that part clipped, but Becca played it last in a video that she did yesterday, and literally comparing Dee Dee to Lacey Spears. And if you guys don't know Lacey Spears, she murdered her child by an salt overdose, and there's video of her in the hospital injecting salt into that baby Garnett's system, and but to compare Dee Dee to Lacey, oh my god, like we know Dee Dee never made Gypsy sick. We've always known that.
Yeah, and like, that comparison might have flown like 3 years ago when we didn't have all this information that we have now.
Well, and it was so here this is where I get soft on Fancy. This is something Fancy and I were comparing in 2019. We started covering Lacey's case because we were like, wait a minute. They keep trying to say Gypsy is the biggest Munchausen by proxy case. And technically, no, because Gypsy survived. You have people like Garnett Spears who lost his little life to his mother's illness. And that was also, we were also at that time kind of going, well, Gypsy's not really a Munchausen case, it's malingering. We had already started going that route back then. And we covered Lacey and Garnett. And so to compare, it just, Point was compared that Lacey's case involved keeping the child away from other parent. Well, Lacey didn't even have the right daddy for Garnett. Lacey was a loosey goosey.
Yeah, right now, everything that I've always thought I could point to of, okay, well, this right here is where Dee Dee definitely was being problematic. Every time we get a new FOIA, something about that gets overturned. So my position right now is like, I don't know anything. I know that we're not finding any evidence of Dee Dee doing everything everyone said she did.
Becca explained it the other day in a way that it was like, "That's what I've been saying. That's how it," but it didn't come out, I don't come out professional sounding like Becca. But, she said that, she was talking about, triggers that kinda set Dee Dee off and caused her to she wasn't a bad person, she was just going through a lot of things, and it triggered this downward spiral of these embellishing things, like because we know with Dee Dee in high school, I know the band and I dated this guy in the band and those things in this needing the attention of that, and that when the hurricane happened, it just triggered more in her, and and there's things that she claimed Gypsy had that she didn't have, and so Dee Dee was wrong in that, but there was a mental health reason behind it, and I'm not wording it the way Becca did. Becca did it beautifully, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's what I've been thinking, and that's what I've been saying, and that's how I see it," and so it was like, finally but when I say it, it comes out wrong and people get mad at me.
Right now, at the moment, the only thing that I can find that doesn't have a possible explanation is right after Dee Dee's body was found, there were some neighbors on the news that were really upset about her death and said they just didn't understand what was happening. They said, and one of them said, "I literally just gave Dee Dee some money because she was saying that she didn't have enough to cover her bills, and now I find out there was what was it, like $11,000 in that house?"
Mhm, something like that, a lot of money.
And that is, that's something that is, it's not good, but at the same time, Dee Dee had been thrown out of her family home and experienced homelessness then, finally gotten into Section 8 housing in Slidell, only to have it ruined by a hurricane and have to, evacuate out to Missouri, live off the kindness of strangers. I don't begrudge is the wrong word, but, like, I don't hold it against her that I think she probably had a mental health issue with scarcity and
Right. Well, I think
needing.
almost like a hoarding thing, because like
Yeah, almost
hoarders,
like,
there's a reason behind their hoarding, and I think that's what it was, is she was scared.
yeah, and, like, I after experiencing actual homelessness and then a tragedy that thrust him into a homeless situation for a little bit again, is I bet in Dee Dee's mind that nest egg probably didn't even exist as, like, fluid cash, like, that
Right,
was
right,
for the emergency. But that's just speculation. I don't have any proof of that, that's just me thinking about it, you know?
right.
Mary Kelly says, "Here's what makes me raise an eyebrow, Rod having the same line Jit happened in the interrogation room." Which one, Mary? They
That's what I
both
was
like,
wondering, I'm sitting there going, "Which one?" Because there's a lot of things they said that it's kinda like, "What the hell?"
yeah, and I can't believe that Rod and Christy stuck so long to the story that they didn't have any contact with Dee Dee and Gypsy while they were in Missouri. Like,
Right,
they said that it was so minimal and that, they were gonna go see him that one time, and Dee Dee just put it off and everything, and they were on that trip and couldn't even get a hold of him. Well, then we saw in the Facebook messages, Dee Dee actually tried to get them to come pick Gypsy up and take her on part of that trip with them.
right, right. Well, now
And
we're
Rod
reading that,
said,
I'm like, "Okay, wait, this is"
yeah, and Rod said, "Well, I just don't see how that could work logistically."
right.
Yeah, their story the whole time had been, no, they were gonna go see Gypsy and Dee Dee wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, they would say what they would tell us was that they were headed there one time, and they get there, and Gypsy and Dee Dee were gone, and they were expecting them to be there. They knew that they were on their way, and then they were just gone, and they couldn't get a hold of her. So,
Yep.
but that doesn't fit with anything you guys have shown through those messages.
No, they were all up in her Facebook all the time.
Mhm.
And then I remember hearing Christy say on a live that after the murder, she was shocked at Dee Dee's appearance. She still thought of her as, big hair, glamorous, young Dee Dee, and that she was shocked to realize that she'd gained weight and stuff. How did she expect anyone to believe that? They were all up in her Facebook.
Right. Like, I don't it just I have no words for any of it anymore, to be honest. It's like I'm sitting here going, I shouldn't be surprised, and then every time something new comes out, I'm surprised. Like, it just baffles me.
I get the same way. I get to where I feel like I can't possibly be surprised anymore, and then something surprises me.
Right.
I'm sorry you experienced that, Claire Power. I'm glad that's in the past.
Me too.
Yeah, art is life. Pictures in the paper. Yep. Pretty much at this point.
Yeah,
we
I'm
are at
looking. Like, if they say it's blue or the green, whatever, I'm looking. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna need proof. Well, we're at an hour. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end. Do you have any final thoughts before we end now, Brandy?
It's just all of these connections, and I don't know why there's connections. Like,
Yeah.
we have the Disney, we have the weird characters, we the embellishments, and it's weird. But to have them think it's cute to be Epstein files and be compared to that and not find it horrifying is
Yeah,
sad. Like, I
she
don't understand that lack of self-awareness.
Right, like, she sat there in Kale Lowry's interview and say that she wasn't comfortable calling Dan a pedophile because when he was 35 and interested in her thinking she was 15. But she's totally comfortable with people naming her Gypstein?
Right. And
Like, what?
it just I have no words for it anymore. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah. And it's like I was saying yesterday, she would have loved to have been a Ghislaine Maxwell type, like the seductress mother. That's what Ghislaine was doing with those poor young girls.
Right. And when the videos were released and the 13-year-old comments were made and she did her public announcement, I was reading that thinking, oh, is she finally taking some accountability? Oh my God, is she finally grown the fuck up? Sorry, said the word. And no, she immediately spun it and made it all about Nick again. And
Yep.
and it's that lack of awareness of, you know what I said was really messed up, and I need to own that, and I need to apologize for that, and show that I've grown and moved on. And that's not what she did. So it just shows there's a lack of self-awareness, which is what all of these other people in the Epstein stuff have. Total lack of awareness.
Lulu's cracking me up here. Right.
or she, and they weren't in 50 Shades of Grey either. So
Or Harry Potter, Star Wars.
Right.
Well, I think we'll go ahead and end it for today then. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me. I want to keep pursuing this because it's an interesting facet to look at because Epstein and Ghislaine and Maxwell and how they got there are really, really relevant right now. And in my opinion, those files need to be released. I don't care who's in office.
I agree.
Anybody in office. They should have been released before even.
Yeah, they shouldn't be waiting.
Biden should have released them after. Trump should release them now.
It all needs to be out there. I mean, we have FOIAs that release all of the juicy details on these cases, and that needs to be the same with these files, no matter who it's exposing.
Absolutely. And just like on a much lower level, I believe, instead of a plea deal, just like instead of a plea deal with Epstein, all of this should have been made clear with Gypsy before she was released. And all of this should have been made clear with Epstein before he was released that first time with his sweet plea deal.
Because we can honestly say the parole board didn't have a clear view because did they not see all of this stuff? Because in my opinion, if I was on a parole board and saw all that, she wouldn't have been released early.
Yeah, from what I understand, no, because it was never shown in court. All they would have been able to review was her plea deal and her prison behavior. But I'm not any kind of an expert or knowledgeable in that, so if I'm wrong, somebody correct
Well,
me.
even with her prison behavior, there were issues in the beginning, so I don't
Mhm.
understand why. I mean, I've watched current parole hearings, like, with Diane Downs and, whoa, what's her first name? Smith, the one that drowned her little boys, Susan Smith.
Mhm.
And they literally go through their case, and there has to be some rehabilitation, and they have to show some ownership in what they do, and none of them do that. Gypsy didn't own what she did.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, she sounded more like Ruby Frankie. Ruby Frankie in her statement
Right.
said, "I followed someone I shouldn't have,
Right. Put all the
and my
blame on other
poor
people.
little chicken suffered."
Mhm. So I don't understand it. I just don't.
Yeah, Miss Behaven makes a good point here. Like, as soon as she got into Greene County, one of the first things she did was have consensual sex with her cellmate and then get mad at the cellmate and accuse her of rape. The cellmate
Right.
got put in the hole, and Gypsy's rendition of this is she's proud of herself that she came out and told the truth afterwards and got her out of trouble.
Well, good for you. Do you need a cookie? I mean, maybe
Yeah.
not do it in the first place. Like,
Like, you need, like, a 1 point of a gold star here for this?
right, getting other people in trouble, but you apologize after the fact, whatever. Stop it.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. All right. Well, I keep saying I'm gonna end this, and then I see an interesting comment, and I wanna commentate on it more.
Look, I told Christy that Gypsy's lucky she didn't get 25 to life. So, and that's where I sit on it at this point. She's just lucky.
For real. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think especially with her random religious conversions, she, I think she truly believes after reading, like, her prison emails and her book and stuff, I think she truly believes that her plea deal and all this literal luck that she's been bestowed, even with her crimes, coming out to a Lifetime show and all this stuff after a
Mhm.
sweet plea deal like that, I think she believes that this is a sign that she was actually in the right.
I
I
do
think she
too.
thinks it's a sign from God that she
I
was in
do
the
too.
right.
Yep. I'm looking at another case I want to cover that's an older case, but the woman's coming up for her death sentence, and the similarities of her behavior with gypsies is crazy.
That's wild. Oh, yeah, Edna's right. It must have been Demona that accused that silly.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
Demona
know, Miss
stole
Behavior.
everything. So
Yeah, and she was upset at that is another video that truly shocked me, is that video where she was upset because she says she told her mom that it was Demona that did in that stuff, and her mom doesn't believe in multiple personalities and said, "No, it's you." Like, to me, that told us a lot about her and Dee Dee's dynamic. Dee Dee said,
mhm.
"No, Demona doesn't exist. This is you doing this stuff."
Right. Stop
And then she turns around
blaming
and
this
kills Dee
fake
Dee.
personality. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. Well, I am gonna
I like
actually
this
end this.
comment. She's using religion to absolve herself from any guilt. And a lot of people in prison find religion to absolve themselves.
Oh, yeah. And out of prison too.
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
Well,
alrighty. Well, you guys
hopefully
have a great week and try to stay safe.
yeah, same. I hope everyone's staying warm, and hopefully we will be back here. I'm not sure tomorrow or sometime soon. We'll do another live.
Alrighty.
You're welcome. Talk to y'all later. Bye,
Bye, guys.
everyone.